and start us off on our live service. And we will just open with our Prelude Hymn. So welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania on this morning of January 10th, 2021. Thank you so much for being with us and with the greater Pittsburgh area shared pulpit. Our Prelude Hymn is gathered here. It's one that you may be familiar with from our UU hymnal. Words will be on your screen. Good morning, folks, and welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania once again. And I would like to turn your attention now to Sarah Stillman with our welcome. And Sarah, you will need to unmute yourself.
I just did. Good morning, friends, and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania. I'm Sarah Steelman, and I'm happy to be welcoming you here to our online space. On behalf of the entire congregation, I want to thank you for tuning in. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. We hope you will subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can search for Pastor Elizabeth Mount on YouTube to find our channel. I invite you to turn your camera on here in our Zoom room if you're comfortable and able. For many of us, seeing one another's face is an important part of how we feel connected on Sundays. So go ahead and leave your video on so people can enjoy this form of community. On Zoom, you will typically see the speech bubble in the middle of your toolbar just below the video screen. Although on some tablets, you may actually see it in the bar above your video screen. It's labeled chat, and you can use that feature for our greetings, chalice lightings, and for love and joys and concerns during the service. The First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association of self-governing congregations, united in a web of mutuality that creates our denomination. We have neither creed nor doctrine, but rather teach that all individuals have both the right and the responsibility to discern and follow our own spiritual path. We come together to support and assist each other on our personal journeys and to build our beloved community together. I invite you to stay after the service for conversation. I will open up the microphones for coffee hour, that is to say, Reverend Elizabeth will open up the microphones for coffee hour following the service so people can check in about how they are feeling and what's on their minds and in their hearts. Now, I invite you to take a breath and settle yourself into a spirit of worship.
Thank you. Our call to worship this morning is by the Reverend Gretchen Haley from Fort Collins, Colorado. These words are adapted further by the Reverend Joe Cleveland for this historic moment. Cast your vision here, in the middle of the hardest moment, into the world as it is, with threats of violence realized once again, and this time a capital besieged, a world whose fragility has been exposed again. Cast your vision here at the turning of a new year, a turning full of promise and trouble still. While the memory lingers of holidays chaotic and miraculous, into this day, offer the vision you've tried to talk yourself down from, your wildest dream, your audacious aims, the beauty that whispers to you to follow and build and become. In a world coming undone by fear and greed and distraction, divided by made-up borders between people and the sowing of distrust, here, stir up your steadfast hope, your resolute clarity of all that is still possible. Be generous with your dreaming and brave. All paths to the future are born in this courage of imagination, this willingness to shed, to salvage, to start again, the willingness to be this blessing for each other, to be this blessed. For this we join together in worship. Let us begin. And we now light our chalice with words We now light our chalice with words from the Blake Covenant. If you have a chalice or a candle, you may wish to light its flame now and type "the flame is lit" and where you are joining us from in the chat bar. The words to our chalice lighting will be found on your screen. Please join me in reading aloud. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, to serve human need, and to help one another. It is wonderful to see so many people joining us, lighting their own flames, physically or in their hearts, from so many places. Our chalice is lit here in Indiana, Pennsylvania, and so many other places. And our time for all ages is called The Everything Seed. It's a book by Carol Martinasco, I believe is how that's pronounced, but I could be wrong.
The Everything Seed by Carol Martinasco, illustrated by Joy Troyer. Have you ever watched a seed grow? Have you ever noticed how it begins so small, so still, so quiet, like a gift wanting to be opened, and how slowly it wakes up, beginning to unfold, growing into something larger and larger and larger? Then you know that whatever comes from a seed usually ends up looking very little like the seed it came from, which is also true of the very first seed. Once, long, long ago, way back before the beginning, so long ago there was no such thing as time because there was no one there to count it, everywhere was a huge, deep, mysterious place, like something waiting to happen. There were no stars, no sun or moon. There was no place like Earth, not a drop of water or a single tree or rock or flower, and no living beings anywhere but in that deep, waiting space was hidden the tiniest point of something no bigger than a seed. It was not a flower seed. It was not an elm tree seed. It was not a seed of corn, although all of those things were included in the seed. You might call it an everything seed, because that is what it became. No one knows where the first seed came from, or how it was planted, or how it knew, in the way that only seeds seem to know, how long to wait for just the right moment to sprout and grow. But all at once, this tiny seed, cradled and nourished in the rich soil of space, woke up, broke open, and began to unfold. Unfolding, unfolding, and blossoming forth into an enormous blazing ball of bright light, like a great grandmother sun. And the universe was born. Out fluttered the galaxies, like a storm of snowflakes swirling and gathering into the brightest, most blindingly beautiful clouds of stars. And out of those star clouds whirled our own star, the one we call the sun. And our Earth and our moon and all the round spinning planets we have learned how to name. And this is the secret of that tiny seed. You and I were there in the very beginning, just as the idea for each leaf on a big oak tree lies hidden inside an acorn. We were there with all the stars and planets, all the rocks and oceans, plants and animals and people. Everything that is now, ever was, or ever will be was inside that first tiny seed. So, whenever you hold a seed in your hand and wonder what it could become, imagine how you and all that is here once came from the tiniest speck of an everything seed before it sprouted and grew long, long ago in the way back beginning of time. Now, if this were an ordinary story, it would end right here. But this story of the universe keeps unfolding. What once began in a blazing blossom of light continues every day. New stars sprout open in the deep soil of space. New plants and animals appear on the earth. Seeds of many kinds are scattered everywhere to help us remember. And new people are born every day with the spark of that first light still alive and burning deep inside, waiting, like the everything seed, to shine in ways that are yet to be known.
And so it was in the beginning, and so it continues. From everything becomes everything. And so it is with us,
The
becoming
everything seed
by Carol.
Becoming again and again as part of all that is becoming, all that we imagine. And so with gratitude, we lift our voices in our responsive hymn. It is here together.
We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place. We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place.
And now is the time in our service where we traditionally pass the peace. Here online, what that looks like is taking a moment to type a blessing in our chat for one another. You might say, peace be with you, or namaste, salam alaikum, shalom, bright blessings, or simply blessed be. And we now come to our centering words, which will be graciously read by Sarah Steelman.
Our centering words today are "It Would Be Normal" by Cecilia Kingsman. Here's a tender, fierce thought for you. It's not normal in most countries experiencing insurrection for everyone to feel compelled to go about business as usual. It would be normal for regular activities to stop, for people to leave work in the middle of the afternoon and before COVID, to go down to the corner store and into coffee shops and pubs and one another's homes, for friends and neighbors to check in with each other, to share news and to wonder and weep and strategize and try to figure out how to explain things to the children. It would be normal to take the toddler on your hip down to the neighbor, to tell the children to forget their homework. Something big is happening. To put down the pen or hammer or computer and attend to a collective moment of turmoil. It's capitalism that tells us that we have to keep pushing the productivity pens, keep stuffing our feelings, and adhering to the Protestant work ethic. Capitalism is a product and a tool of white supremacy systems. Part of dismantling white supremacy systems is learning to feel our feelings, which we have been taught to avoid because they are not productive, because they are inconvenient, because they get in the way of systems and structures of oppression. If we would dismantle white supremacy and its ugly and violent offspring, white nationalism, we must feel our feelings. We must make space for grief, for anger, for confusion. We cannot eliminate white nationalism unless we refuse to obey the toxic behaviors that stem from white supremacy thinking. We have to clear our own souls, spirits, and bodies of that toxicity in order to envision a different, more whole and beautiful life for all. Friends, we can't go to the coffee shop or the pub or the church fellowship hall right now, but we can call each other. We can set up a Zoom support call with friends. We can cuddle our children and figure out how to tell them why mommy is crying, how to tell them about moments in history when things seem to tilt all sideways. We can go outside and look at the horizon and see that it is still horizontal. We can notice that the days are indeed beginning to lengthen, slowly but definitely. And we can absolutely make space to feel our feelings. So here is your permission slip to slow down, to call a friend, to cry on the shower floor, to grieve and rage against the forces that are attempting to devour our democracy, to walk around the neighborhood looking at the bare trees until the numbness starts to wear off and the tears rise up. We are human beings with embodied experiences. The only way to save us all is to learn how to feel again.
And so it is. Thank you. And thank your cat as well for a cuddly moment. It's much appreciated. Our music for centering is Lady Liberty. It's performed by Dan Schatz.
A couple of years ago at a folk festival in Maryland, I heard Rob Van Zant and Janie McNeely sing a powerful song they had written called Lady Liberty. It's a song of sorrow and hope. And ever since that time, I had meant to learn the song. But in the last few days since the attack on the Capitol, I knew I'd have to learn it. It has not left my head for 2 days now. So with their very kind permission, I share it with you. Lady Liberty. Cry, lady, cry, let a tear fall from your eye. Raise your flame up to the sky. Cry, lady, cry, let a tear fall from your eye. Proudly raise your flame while you cry, lady, cry. Your children are in trouble, so many lost their way. Their fear is like a blanket, the truth has gone astray. You still light up the harbor, but blindness setting in, closing all the gates, the people can't get in. Cry, cry, let a tear fall from your eye. Raise your flame up to the sky. Cry, lady, cry, let a tear fall from your eye. Proudly raise your flame while you cry, lady, cry. We see you in the distance, strong against the wind, our sister in the struggle as the clouds roll in. Our Lady of the Harbor, raise your flame up high, standing fast above us, bright star up in the sky. Cry, lady, cry, let a tear fall from your eye. Raise your flame up to the sky. Cry, lady, cry, let a tear fall from your eye. Proudly raise your flame while you cry, lady, cry. You still hold the beacon, though some would dim the light. The flame of hope and freedom still ever in our sight. The flame of hope and freedom blaze ever in the sky. Guide us through the darkness, keep it burning bright. Cry, lady, cry, let a tear fall from your eye. Raise your flame up to the sky. Cry, lady, cry, let a tear fall from your eye. Proudly raise your flame while you cry, lady, cry. Cry, lady, cry, let a tear fall from your eye. Raise your flame up to the sky. Cry, lady, cry, let a tear fall from your eye. Proudly raise your flame while you cry, lady, cry. Proudly raise your flame while you cry, lady, cry.
The events of this week have been hard. Last week, I said how I was hoping not to say that we were in unprecedented times again this year, that we would appreciate a return to comfort, to stability, that perhaps this year could be less exciting than the last. So far, I don't think we've been doing that. But this is a time when I want us to really remember of what this country is made. We became a democracy through revolution, and it was not a gentle transition. It was messy, it was awful. People were afraid. and it was unprecedented. Today, we are again in turbulent times. We are at a moment in life when we are called to choose. And I am not hoping for revolution, but I am hoping that we will rise to the occasion with the knowledge that we as Unitarian Universalists come from people who were present, who were Congregationalists, who were leaders in that founding of our country, and who said, if it shall be thus, then we will have an active hand in the shaping. We will speak to friends and neighbors. We will ask them to gather their courage. We will ask them to make sure that what is best and most hopeful in each of our hearts makes it onto the floor and becomes part of the shaping of what happens next. As Unitarian Universalists, we have a legacy. This is who we are, the good and the bad. This is the everything seed from which this country is made. Yes, the hopes of democracy. Yes, the turbulence, the chaos, the sheer chutzpah to engage in revolution, to overturn things when we are angry. It is not always safe. It is not always nice. It is the stuff of which we are made. So in this moment, let us cling tight to the knowledge that we have a history of capacity, that this is who we are as Unitarian Universalists, people who have values and community and courage at the ready. Who we will become will be shaped by the values we choose to hold on to and to share. So in this moment, let us speak together the words of our Unitarian Universalist principles, which have held us through the years since our merger and which may guide a course for our future. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant to affirm and promote these values. We honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We practice justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, accept one another and encourage spiritual growth, support the freedom to search for what is true and right in life, ensure that all have a vote about matters that concern them, work for a peaceful, fair, and free world, and care for planet Earth, the home we share with all living things. And now I invite you to join me and breathe as we listen to our musical meditation, Hard Times. During this piece, if you have joys or sorrows to share that you would like woven into our pastoral prayer, please feel welcome to write those in the chat bar, either send them directly to me or go ahead and write them for all of us to see. This video is Hard Times by Dan Bergen, and the video is arranged by Kimberly Davis.
Let us pause in this moment and take a look around at the distance between rich and poor. Some have lost their direction, others never to be found. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. There's a child who is praying for shelter from the storm and searching the wall for open doors. But each entrance is guarded by ignorance or fear. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. There are families scattered many miles apart, and some dreams have been washed up on the shore. Whether stranger or loved one, we hold them in our hearts. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. When it feels like we're reaching the end of our rope, when resolve seems to fly right out the door, we will fortify our spirit with faith, love, and hope. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. No more. No more.
So let us join hearts and spirits in prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, that which holds all the universe, be with us in this time. Let us know that there is a creative force which moves, which guides, which is larger than anything that any one of us can do, than any hardship that any one of us must bear. This is a spirit of love. This is a spirit which brings us once again together in this day. And so may we hold on to hope in the midst of pain. May we hold on to the knowledge that we are more together than we are apart. That here we can hold one another's sorrows, that our burdens may be lightened. We can hold the memories of those who have passed. Tina Perdue's friend and extended family member, Larry Blackburn, who passed on Friday. Nana Randall's family friend who passed away yesterday due to COVID. David Whaley, who is dying of pancreatic cancer and could use your thoughts and prayers. Ward Kelsey, who is in the hospital with a brain infection and needs prayers of healing. Joanne Bertovich LaRue, who died last Saturday, January 2nd. Lynn Lockrow, a friend of Juanita Burdett, who passed from COVID. Jesse Cannon, who was diagnosed with leukemia and just turned 26 yesterday. May his treatment go well and his healing be swift. In all this sorrow and struggle and concern, may we know that community is the place where our burdens are shared so as to be lightened, where we may ask for help of the Spirit, that we, in being together and naming these things, can offer space for making the world a little easier to bear. And let us hold room as well for joy and for beauty, for the gratitude of being together, for the joy of children's laughter and play, the lightness of seeing friends and family, even from a distance and on Zoom and through the magic of technology, for the patience and strength of listening to one another and finding connection, even when times are hard. And this week, let us hold on to the fundamental gratitude that there are people committed even in the face of massive difference, of nearly unimaginable divides in our political landscape, committed at the very base of everything to democracy itself, that the will of the people matters. Not a single mob, but all of us. At the base of everything that Unitarian Universalists believe, let us remember that all of us need all of us to make it. Every one of us holding our fundamental and inherent worth, every one of us interdependent. On this, we build every other piece of what holds us together as a faith and guides us in our work. Spirit of life and of love, as the world continues to turn and we can see the horizon that is still horizontal, let us look forward to a place where the beloved community becomes more real every day, because we are committed to one another. Amen, and blessed be. This is the moment in our service where we choose to give back. In this moment, if you have a commitment to online giving, you can do so through our PayPal. It is office@firstu-indianapa.org. We share when we give, not only with the church, but with the wider community. And this month we are sharing with the Alice Paul House, which is a local organization committed to helping those struggling with domestic violence. We know that every person is worthy, that every person deserves safety, and therefore we give back to our community in this way. So let us take a moment to remember to give as we are given each day.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
When I began writing this sermon, I thought perhaps we would be in a slightly different place in the world. I thought perhaps we would talk about the ways of the imagination, gently, calmly, inspirationally, and joyfully. All that the stories of creation give to us in hope. This has not been a week of gentle or calm or joyful in the most part. And I'm not sure that that is the approach that we need. And yet, it still matters how we were formed, how we got to this place, so that we can determine where we are going, because it matters where we are going. It matters what we believe, it matters what we commit to, and the stories we tell, the ways we tell them, are what determine, in large part, how we seek to build the world that surrounds us. And so we start at the beginning, when nothing was formed and all was void. And then from that everything seed, those particles flew outward in all directions and differentiated and atoms and elements formed stars and planets and molecules and life. And after a little bit of evolution, humanity out of the stuff of the stars. That is one story of our formation. We are not an end point in this story. We are a midpoint. There is the Big Bang, and many scientists believe that there is a big contraction. And again, the universe, like the tides, rolls in and out on an unimaginable timescale, creating and dissolving again and again in an infinite loop. Or perhaps a blossoming loop where universes create pocket universes. And it is perhaps something that we are toward the beginning of, toward the middle of. We cannot know because there is no way to get back before the beginning to see what was created before creation. And so humans make stories of creation that tell us who we are. And it matters how we tell those stories. Are we an end point? Are we the pinnacle of all that is? It matters if we say yes, or if we believe that we are headed to somewhere better. In the Jewish and Christian and Islamic traditions, there is the story of Adam, the story of the person, the human who was created of clay, of the dust of the earth, breathed into life by God. And once again, it matters how we tell this story. Was Adam the first man, an individual who was created alone, a sole and solitary hero? That is certainly something that we tell here in the United States in many churches. But going back and rereading the Hebrew text, Adam is a human of no gender or perhaps all gender. Adam is not named as solitary, but as all, the container which is human. And when Adam's sides are drawn apart, it creates the man and the woman. Humanity, all contained in one, is drawn apart to become multiple, to be able to support itself in the creation of community. For God has determined that it is better to be fruitful, to multiply, to be not a unitary body holding all, but in pieces which each contain some gifts. That is another way of telling this same story. And it is no less true, but it certainly does set us up to treat the world and each other differently based on how we tell it. And in the Popol Vuh, in the Mayan tradition of the Quiche people, it is said that God formed the animals and was disappointed because the animals could not worship the gods with song and with story and with spirit. And so the gods created more, They tried to form people out of the clay of the earth, but the clay was dull and dead, and it would not worship. And so they shaped people of wood, but wooden people are wooden. They do not laugh with joy. They do not cry. They do not experience awe. And so again, they made people, this time out of corn masa, a little row of tamales. And these, cooked with the spark and fire of life, saw their own creation and were grateful for it. And they worshiped the gods. And the gods were pleased. They were formed of the corn, of the food that had been shaped for our consumption. Corn is an amazing plant because it is a plant that cannot exist without continuous human effort to reseed it each year. This particular everything seed, a staple of the Native American diet across 2 continents, is a grass which has been shaped and grown synergistically together with human society over so many generations that corn cannot live without us, just as the Native American peoples could not live without corn. It is entwined in those stories, nourishing and fundamental to the creation of that human society. Each of these stories is a story of creation, a story of understanding who we are and why we are here. And I tell you each one of these because in this historic moment, it matters that we claim ourselves, that we know ourselves to come from people who are revolutionary, from people who are creative and created, from people who believe that community is foundational to ourselves, and that democracy is a piece of our values that cannot be left to chance, that cannot be optional. Maya Angelou said, "All those that you meet give you the materials which your character uses to build itself." In truth, the ways in which your character is built have to do with those around you and those you choose and those who choose you. And so in this moment, I am asking of you to recall how you are formed, to know yourself and who you are, to make active choices about how to engage those around you, how to let your character be shaped, and how to participate in the shaping and reshaping of society around you. We are never finished. Creation stories are a story of a beginning point, not a story of the only beginning. For we remake ourselves. We remake one another every day in the ways that we choose to integrate narratives into our lives, to imagine the world that could be, to make this world live up to the infinite potential of the universe, of stardust, of the clay, of the earth, ready to come alive. There is no final end point when we can put down this burden. but we carry it together. And we have the courage to imagine a world in which we are shaped and formed in community. Blessed be. Our closing words come from Adrienne Marie Brown and will be read by our worship associate, Sarah Steelman.
The Imagination Battle by Adrienne Marie Brown. We are in an imagination battle. Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown and Renisha McBride and so many others are dead because in some white imagination, they were dangerous. Imagination has people thinking they can go from being poor to a millionaire as part of a shared American dream. Imagination turns brown bombers into terrorists and white bombers into mentally ill victims. Imagination gives us borders, gives us superiority, gives us race as an indicator of ability. I often feel I am trapped inside someone else's imagination, and I must engage my own imagination in order to break free. All organizing is science fiction. We are bending the future together into something we have never experienced, a world where everyone experiences abundance, access, pleasure, human rights, dignity, freedom, transformative justice, peace. We long for this. We believe it is possible.
And so, as we extinguish our chalice flame, let us recall what we imagine will become. What we imagine will become the stories that guide our lives, heal our spirits, and bring us to a new and well-imagined, beloved community that is the future, that is worthy of all that we do. Will you read together the words for extinguishing our chalice on our screen? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you all for being with us today. If you are joining us from one of the other shared pulpit Pittsburgh congregations, you are welcome at this time to head back to your own Zoom rooms for coffee hour. If you would like to stay with us, we will host coffee hour rooms and breakout groups as well. We appreciate your attendance, and I hope that today has nurtured your soul, refreshed your spirit, and made you whole enough to confront this next week and be with us in it. if you wish to unmute yourself at this time as I create breakout rooms, please feel welcome.
Here's Jude. They can hear us now.
Yep.
They can hear us now. So, mute off. Okay. So if you yell at the cat, they'll hear it.
That is,
Don't yell at the cat.
Hear you.
I always enjoy getting to see the extra cats in our space. So thank you to all who have brought your pets to this place.
Yeah, well, the light just left. She said, "Who's that voice? I don't know it."
We'll have to have a blessing of the animal service.
I would love to do that.
We used to have those.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, not all the time, but we did have them annually.
Really, yeah.
A long time ago. It's probably been over 20 years.
No, I was in the
Well, there-
picture.
Oh, you were?
One or two.
Okay. Don's been around 19 years. He said he remembers one or two.
Right. It hasn't been that long, but
Well, it
actually when
might be outside for a bit this spring and summer. That seems like that might be an opportune moment so that we can have them outside.
Well, now we've all had a chance to see each other's pets. We haven't brought them to church.
I'm sorry, but I'm not bringing my cats. And putting them on.
Right, you can bring pictures of them or bring them in spirit as well, and
I
we'll
only have one that might do well with people, and that's Red Cat, and he's big. He's not fat, he's big, and he weighs a lot.
All right, rooms are open when